Well, I've been obsessed with investing in some way, shape, or form for most of my adult life. And I went to school at St. Thomas for finance. And like most people, younger people that are interested in that kind of thing, they're initially drawn to the idea of being a trader or something at some kind of investment bank or something like that. But yeah, after college, I ended up in the corporate finance space, basically internal reporting and analysis at various companies, managing budgets, building models and forecasting cash flows, and did a little bit with some acquisition analysis at one of my positions. So my background is pretty heavily in the analytics and managing budgets, which translates pretty well into the real estate game. And it was about 5 years into the corporate gig that I realized that the corporate space just wasn't for me. There wasn't enough growth potential. I wanted something that I could have full control over, as well as could scale up exponentially, and that's kind of tough to do in the corporate world. Even if you do really fantastic, you're still kind of limited by whatever the corporate structure is. So I was really drawn to the entrepreneurial aspects of real estate.
Yeah. So then what was like your first purchase into real estate?
The first deal I did was a 6-unit apartment building in St. Paul. And it was a pretty standard business plan with that. It's pretty much the business plan we've used on every property. We just find something that's been let go, has had a landlord that was either just burnt out or didn't know what they were doing. And there was a big disparity between the rents that were currently being charged and what the market would bear. So that was the opportunity there. So basically fixed the units up, got a better tenant base in there, and did a refinance, pulled the equity out that we created, and rolled on to the next one.
Yep.
Pretty much rinse and repeat ever since.
That's really interesting that your first purchase was a 6-unit building. A lot of people start with like a single family or a duplex, something like that.
Yeah.
What was the difference in your situation?
The level of control that you get when you get above 5 units, then you start to look. Then you're dealing with commercial financing as opposed to like a residential mortgage on a single family home. It's just a different process. It's a lot easier, I think, when you're dealing with commercial properties because they're looking at the income on the property and seeing if that'll support the debt, as opposed to looking at the borrower and what their personal income is, and then also the valuation. The properties are valued based on the income, and it's less dependent on comparables. So that kind of puts control into your hands. If you run the property well, then you can be confident that the value is going to go up, as opposed to just kind of waiting for the market to do its thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, that's the great thing about
yeah,
large multifamily.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So then take us briefly through the development of your company. Kind of where do you stand now? What is your focus in your company?
Right now, it's scaling up into bigger deals, and in order to do that effectively, you need to build systems and build a solid team. So that's the focus right now. And property management is paramount in that aspect. Having good systems internally for investor relations and all that good stuff is great. But if you don't have your property management fine-tuned and the tenant experience on the ground fine-tuned, then the assets just aren't going to perform. No matter how good your business plan is and how good you are at finding deals, if the property management isn't in place, then it's just not going to perform.
Yeah, we're definitely going to cover that here. So what is the kind of geographical area? Are you mostly in the Twin Cities here?
Yeah, it's all St. Paul so far. And I look at everything in the metro area. But for whatever reason, the deals that pencil out are always in St. Paul. And that's actually worked out nicely because we have a nice little neighborhood that we're concentrated in. So as far as efficiencies in management and maintenance, my maintenance guys and my manager aren't driving all over town between properties. Everything's pretty concentrated, so it makes it pretty easy logistically to manage and execute on our projects.
Want to hear more on this topic? Click the link below for the full episode of Maximizing Your Property Value.